Let's talk about influencer marketing. Today, we're talking about the power of our influencers, our social media influencers. There is no doubt that the entire world of social media has come a very long way. From the days of Rediff and Orkut, if you remember, there is a considerable distance that we've trod. Now, these platforms started out as a novel way of just communicating. But now, years later, nobody can deny the power of Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, how far they can go beyond social messaging. They are actually marketing tools, and they have these platforms which are great for marketers. Now, a research by Advertising Standards Council of India, the ASCI, reveals the true power of influencers, because in this report they're saying that 7 out of 10 Indians, they believe what these social media influencers are saying, and they buy the products that these influencers endorse. 90% of the respondents in that survey say that their purchasing decisions are shaped by these online influencers. So what makes us trust influencers? How much do these companies gain by marketing their products through these influencers? And how much are marketing spends getting directed towards influencer marketing now? Let's break up this chat to get a further understanding. Manisha Kapoor is joining us. She is, of course, Chief Executive Officer and Secretary General over at ASCI, the Advertising Standards Council of India. And she's joined by Sneha Paliwal Tiwari, who's an influencer herself. She's a mom blogger. And Rima Mishra is also with us, the marketing head at Media Tribe. Ladies, thank you very much for joining us. Manisha, first to you. What's really changing the marketing landscape in favor of influencers, as per the report that you put out, where I believe you surveyed about 800 people in the age group of 18 and 45. So I want to ask you, is it that consumers are trusting brands less, or are they trusting influencers more? Which one is it?
We spoke to these 820 people, but it's an online survey. So I think we must accept that there would be a certain bias amongst these people for things that are online, because then these are people who are obviously online, much more are comfortable buying online. And influencers, I think, become a key source of information and influence. For both from an informative, point of view, as well as actually purchasing products. And it's not, I think, that it is either brand or influencer. In fact, we are seeing this partnership as actually nourishing each other in terms of trust. And I think when it is done well, and, you would see also from the report that transparency in kind of disclosing this connection between brands and influencers is what drives consumer trust, and lack of this transparency is actually what makes people move away. So I think consumers are giving a very clear message saying that, we love influencers, we love the kind of content they are putting out, but please be honest about your brand promotions and we are happy to listen to you. So I think that's the clear message, and I think it's a partnership that's working well for all constituents if that transparency is maintained.
That's an essential part of it. The word trust is used very often in the kind of relationship that exists between influencers and the kind of followers that they have. Rima Mishra, do tell us how this is reflected in the kind of spends that we see on influencer marketing, because that is definitely changing because of this growing influence, if I may call it that, of influencers. Clearly, these companies need to re-strategize when it comes to media planning. How are marketers doing this? Is it eating into traditional marketing channels?
Hi, good evening, and thank you so much. So my brands, definitely we are working with a lot of brands from different space and different genre. But what we have been experiencing is the traditional influencers are creating more impact than the established stars, because the established stars have audiences from tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, all kind of cities. But influencers, when people follow them, they definitely resonate with what kind of content they are creating, what kind of brands they are endorsing, and what kind of brands they are using for on their daily to daily life. So definitely it is influencing a lot of people, and they definitely go and this definitely increases the sales. So my brands are definitely shifting towards working with influencers than celebrities and even public figures.
So there is a shift over there. Sneha, you as a mom blogger and an influencer, what exactly do you find marketers looking for when it comes to these endorsements of their products? Has it changed over the time that you've been doing it? We understand, like I was saying, trust between your audience and you. Now, that is very important, and what the marketers themselves want to tap into. They want to tap into the trust that you've built over a period of time between you and your followers. How effectively are you following the general credo when you come to talking to your audience and endorsing a product?
First of all, thank you for having me. And yes, it's been an incredible journey so far being an influencer. And so the thing is, firstly, yes, brands do look into each and every aspect. And this is a very, very, very niche category, especially if I'm a mommy influencer. So my audience is very niche. So brands go through thoroughly each and every influencer's profile. They check, and then they come up with what kind of an influencer is suitable for their campaigns.
So that is one part of it, as far as what they are looking for. In terms of the partnerships that you want as a mom influencer, as a blogger, how do you decide what you're going to go with and what you won't? Because in terms of the content creation, the style in which you do it, how much freedom do you actually get so that that trust is not broken between you and your followers?
Correct. So I only try to promote products. Firstly, obviously, I do a lot of research before endorsing any products. And secondly, I only use products which are relatable, which I use generally, because when I'm a mommy creator, when I'm a mommy influencer, I have to be very transparent with my audience. And obviously, trust factor is there. Since it's been so many years, I try to make content which is relatable, which my audience can relate to. And obviously, after the ASCI guidelines as well, I'm so glad that ASCI has come up with these guidelines wherein you can actually upfrontly disclose to your audience so that the trust factor is not broken. And your audience also knows that, okay, it's a paid partnership and you're promoting a brand. But when it comes to influencers, we only mostly try to promote products which we relate to, which we use. And after a lot of research, we post it on social media platforms.
Fair enough. But, you know, when you look at influencer marketing, Manisha, now this is something that I don't think existed about a decade ago. It has now become one of the fastest growing sectors in India. I want to understand from you why you think it shifted so dramatically away from the traditional kind of endorsements that we would get from celebrities. Why did influencers become as big as they are? What is the reason behind it? Manisha. Manisha, you need to unmute. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Yes, sorry. So I think there are a couple of factors to this. One is, of course, more and more audiences are on social media, and you know, what they're engaging with is all these wonderful and diverse content creators. And you know, where there is engagement and where there are audiences, you know, brands are not far behind, right? So I think that's one of the reasons that you know, you are seeing influencers becoming more important and more mainstream in terms of advertising marketing budgets. I think the other thing is also you know, the kind of content that is put out by influencers seems to be something that audiences you know, can trust more, understand more, relate more, and there is an ongoing engagement, you know, unlike, let's say, an advertising piece which tends to be a one-way dialogue. With influencers, you're able to engage, you're able to kind of give your own contents, and audiences are also shaping influencers as much as influencers are impacting audiences. So I think it is that two-way nature of communication that makes it a very fertile ground to talk about brands or rituals or you know, products or how they are used in a way that traditional advertising cannot do. It's almost as if traditional advertising was 2D, this has become 3D now. So I think there is that added dimension of engagement, which is so precious to marketers. And therefore, I think that is really why influencer advertising and marketing is so compelling for brands.
One needs to put out those standards in advertising, and you've done work on that, because as a watchdog, you need to kind of ensure that they are followed as well. What are the major guidelines you'd say, and do you find violations across social media platforms, more in some platforms over others?
Yes. So I think the key guideline that we have, so of course, every piece of advertising is governed, largely by the ASCII code, which requires ads to be honest, decent, safe, and, not unfair. So fair advertising. So those are the general guidelines. But specifically for influencers, another layer of protection that we want to offer consumers is that there be disclosure when there is a material connection between them and the brands. And the reason for that is that it's very difficult for an average consumer sometimes to make out the difference between what could be paid content and what is organic content. And I think the right for the consumer to make an informed choice, is really paramount. And which is why the disclosure guidelines required this material connection to be disclosed upfront in a prominent way. And most of the violations that we've picked up are also around the non-disclosure of the material connection between brands and influencers. But I would also like to say that I think we are also seeing increasingly brands and influencers doing this. So I think we are also seeing more and more people following the guidelines. It is a new sector. I think we need to be cognizant of it. There are thousands of young people coming into this industry every day. And therefore, there is a need, I think, for regulators like us and everyone in the ecosystem
So there is compliance. There is growing compliance as well, right, Manisha? That is something that you've observed. But Rima, among the categories of products where you're seeing perhaps higher engagement between marketers and influencers, which ones would you identify? And do tell us, which are the social media platforms of choice for influencer marketing right now? Have you been able to put together a study of that, where it's more effective?
Definitely. So we have done a lot of influencer marketing campaigns with a different kind of influencers, whether it's micro, macro, or a premium influencer. We have been seeing that brands are more interested to working with Instagram influencers and YouTube influencers because they are generating very better content. The content, they can run ads as well. A lot of coming together when you run a campaign. And in terms of why they want to work with influencer, also I wanted to answer that because they are getting better content. People can definitely resonate, and they are getting a lot of queries. So it is generating a lot of revenue for the brand. And also, what was one more question? Can you repeat?
Running out of time, but I'm getting a sense about how this entire ecosystem is growing, and it's growing quite rapidly. We are seeing that much more effectiveness of the guidelines that have been put together by ASCII, and perhaps more people coming in and following these guidelines is going to see perhaps that much more diversified growth in terms of the nature of influencers, because they all come with specific themes. These influencers and marketeers find value in reaching out to that audience with their specific themes that followers find them on. So as far as the growth of the influencer marketing industry is concerned, we are likely to see that much more in times to come. Great having you with us, ladies. Thank you for joining us with your perspective. Manisha Kapoor, Sneha Paliwal Tiwari, and Rima Mishra. Thanks very much indeed for joining us on India Tonight.